Good morning, everybody. I've been out here in the garden spraying for the grasshoppers and all the other bugs that get on your plants. And I noticed that I've got these little plants that are starting, as I call it, in the armpits of the tomato plants. Don't know how good you can see this. But there's a plant right there, like in the armpit. Now that, if you take it out, it's another plant. I got my scissors hung. But what I mean by that is, if you cut it out, that right there is another tomato plant. You can either put it in water to root it, or you can stick it right down in the dirt, keep it moist, and it will grow another tomato plant. See if I can find another one. Here's one. Don't know how well you're going to be able to see it, but this right here, actually it's growing right where I put my cord yesterday. But I don't know if you can see this. If you zoom in your camera, you might be able to see it. Let's see. I'm going to try to zoom it in. It's not letting me do it. But anyway, right here, well, where is it? I saw it a minute ago. Oh, here, this one. This one right here. Behind my fingers. Well, you can't really see it. Let's see if I can drop this down. Because I wanted you to see where I'm getting it from. Right there. It's right here at the, as I call it, the elbow. Right at the crease, there's a plant growing out. And right there is where I'm going to cut it off. And see, that's a new plant. And like I said, you can put it in the water, or you can stick it right down in the pot and root it right along with the tomato that you just cut it off of. It's totally up to you. And I think what I'm going to do, since these grow so straight and tall, or not straight and tall, but since they grow so tall, and I've got these arbors here, and I've got this big blue pot, I'm going to make a hole, and I'm going to plant it right there. I'm going to snip that bottom leaf off, and I'm going to plant it right up past that little nub right there, because I think that's where a lot of your roots are going to come. And then I got this one for the other side. And I don't mind planting them like this in here because this pot is so big. And I've got it right here at the trellis. But that's 2 more tomato plants I just started. Just from cutting off the little sucker, as they call it. And I'll put a little bit of water to that and watch it grow. There's some on these other ones, but they're not big enough yet. They're not quite big enough to cut off. You want them to be a pretty good size to cut off. Like there's a sucker growing here. This one right here. See, it's between the leaf and the other stem, the main stem coming up. This one right here is a sucker. So when it gets a little bigger, I can cut that off and start a new plant with it. I've cut off several this morning of the different tomato plants to start more tomato plants. Like right here, in that little gray bucket, that's a sucker. I stuck it down in there. And I took several of them, and they're cherry and grape tomatoes is what they are. So they get 12 to 15 foot tall. And I wanted them to be next to a trellis. Now I will put a little bit of compost tea to that. Let me go get it before I forget it. I got some that came out of the Greenstalk tower yesterday from watering. All you have to do is make sure you keep them wet. Or not wet, but you know, you got to keep the ground damp. Put some to this one back here. That's what your compost tea is good for. It's good fertilizer and plant food for all your plants, plus water. And I think too what I'm going to do, I had pepper plants. Where did I put them? But I want to show all those pepper plants that I planted in the cinder blocks. They're perked up this morning. So they will be growing and producing peppers. See, every one of them are looking good. And like I said, I tried to skip a block, plant one in every other one. There's a couple of them that I put in every one, but that's okay. Like here, I planted suckers down there. You know, they were just put in there yesterday, so they're not rooted yet. But I've not only got jalapenos that I showed you. Look at, there's some that are eating all my jalapenos. And you know what? I'm going to pick those couple before anything else eats them. But look at this. Okay, where's my bell pepper? There he is. I got bell pepper. Look at that. Got another one started here. And my eggplant's putting out blooms. That means we're going to have eggplants. Here, I got a little one started right there. That's going to be one of those purple eggplants. And of course, I still got tomatoes. But let's see, maybe there's suckers up here. Let me put my peppers down and get my scissors and stuff. I was looking at this one to see. Don't see suckers started on that one yet. And the heat's getting to my zucchini or my squash plant again. See if there's one that looks real good that I can show you real well. See, like this one right here. See, it's growing between there. I call it the armpit. It's too little yet. But when that one gets bigger, you can cut it off right at the elbow or the joint. The armpit, as I call it. And that's another plant. And see, there's a little one started in here. Not big enough to cut out yet. The sun is really getting to my little tomato plants here on this side. They don't like that scalding hot sun. Let's see. Now see this one? That's one right there. So we can cut this one and start a new plant with it. It's big enough, I think. And see, there's one started. But that one's not big enough. There's one started right there. See, it's coming out of that armpit. It's not big enough. But this one up here is big enough. Let me get my scissors. I don't want to break it and mess it up. So if you've got a tomato plant that you really like, see, I snipped it right out of that. And that's a really nice little tomato plant right there. And like I said, you can either put it in water, or you can put it right in the ground as long as you keep the dirt moist so it'll root. And see all the hairs? That's where the roots come. All these little hairs right there. Camera probably isn't picking them up very well. But I see another one. Let's see. Where did I see it? I just saw one. Oh, here. Right behind it. This one right here. That's another tomato plant, y'all. So see, you can turn one plant into multiples. got another one off of this other one over here. See that? That's a pretty good size one right there that I missed before. So I've got 3 so far. I see a couple more, but they're not big enough. But we got 3. We got 3 of them so far. Let's see what's on this one. There's one right there. So that's not a bad little tomato plant right there. I see more started, but I don't see another one big enough to cut off yet. But I've gotten probably almost 10 new plants from my tomato plants this morning, just by cutting the suckers off. I'm looking as I'm talking to you, so. See this one right here? Let's see. Put the camera down just a tiny bit. See this one right here? It's growing in the armpit. It's not quite big enough, so I don't want to cut it yet. But it'll try to put out another plant. Is what it's doing. Yeah, there's all kind of suckers growing in here between them. But they're not big enough to cut out. Not quite yet. And yes, to answer one of my subscribers' question, I have seen grasshoppers. I saw a great big one this morning, and I know he's been eating some of my plants. So I'm on a quest to get rid of these. Yeah, see, I've got one right here. This right here, that's a sucker right there. That'll be another plant. It's not quite big enough. I don't want to cut them off too small. If you cut them too small, they don't want to root. They'll just end up dying on you. But now I got to figure out where I'm going to put these. Probably back over here with the rest, these other big ones. Well, what did I do with my, Oh, I left it out here. It's lucky this morning. But yeah, you can buy one plant. Let it grow a bit. And then literally get you more plants from that one. I'm not sure where I want to put it. It's got to be where it'll trellis up. Basically over here is where I want it. Around. Maybe it'd be better over here. So I think I'm going to put one of them right here with my raspberry. And I hate to say it, but I don't know if raspberry plants do very well in pots or not. But mine is not, because this is the second or third year I've had this raspberry plant, and it has not produced any berries. Yet, anyway. Now I got the little pods on there like it wants to produce some, but I don't know if it'll have actual berries on it. I've got to find another spot to put some of these. I have to remember that one because it needs a little bit of compost tea to it, just to kind of freshen the dirt up a little bit, get it a little bit damp. I don't know about my squash plant there. It doesn't seem to be doing too good. Thinking about what else I want to put there. I might stick a tomato plant right down in there and see what happens with it. It might help. Might help that squash plant. You have a tomato plant growing in there. I don't know. It's a little pot. There's one. And I'm putting them here because they grow real tall. Like I said, 12 to 15 feet if they survive. So they got to have something to travel up on. I'm thinking seriously of putting one in with the turnips. I got one in with the turnips over there, and it seems to be liking it pretty good. We can try and see, can't we? I still got one more. And you know what? I think I'm going to put one right in this bag, grow bag, with this other tomato plant. Right there. Because it's already got this tall trellis. And I can keep them cut back a little bit. Oh, I already got a tomato plant in there. I put one in there earlier, so I'm not going to be able to do that. I could possibly put one in with the kale right here, but I don't know. I think there was a tomato plant in there, but it was not doing too good. And I was going to go in the house and get me a jar and see if I could catch some of these grasshoppers. I'll go fishing with the grasshoppers. Not sure where I want to put it. See, I've got three tomato plants in that pot. Right here, this green one. Let me turn this around. Right here. Two of them come up voluntarily, and I've got one in a little pot over there. I don't know if we'll get any rain today or not. We do have a chance of rain. And I did stick a couple of these tall tomato plants in with this one right here. I thought that one was going to get real tall, but it didn't. It only got halfway up the arbor, and look how tall the trellis is. So I put two in there because they've got plenty of room to grow up on. Don't know where else I want to put one. My okra's doing real well, but I can never remember to harvest my okra before it gets tough. I mean, look at this. Look at that. Little okras there. And there's some back there. I didn't plant very much okra this year. I don't eat a whole lot of okra, and I didn't have any room in the freezer to put it, so I said there's no need in planting any more than I think I can eat. So that's what I did. And I've been busy moving some of my rutabagas over to the other side of the house because it gets too hot in the sun here on them. Even though, see, they are trying to produce a rutabaga. Look at that. So, yeah, that's what I've been doing. I've got several of them moved over there already. You water them, and then that sun gets so hot on them, it just literally cooks the plant. And you got to keep it watered. If you don't, they're going to die. So, don't know where else to put this. Oh, I know. I didn't think about that before. I've got a trellis here at the corner of the yard. Not the corner of the yard, but the corner of the patio. And I've been meaning to put another tomato plant in there forever. So I'm going to stick it right down in there. Turn it a little bit so I can get to the spot I want to plant it in. We'll put it right here. I turned the pot around to where I have an open spot. See, that other one is doing okay, but not fantastic. And it's not going to hurt at all to put this one down there and root it. I just push it down as far as I can, even past the little limbs. that come out on it. Pack the dirt down a little bit on it. And then I'm just going to go in a little bit and get some compost tea and water that. Because see, I've already got the tomato trellis right there, a big tall one. So that'll work. Make sure I utilize my trellises. Look at my sunflowers. Those are some, I guess, mammoth sunflowers. They're like 15 foot tall already. They're not the gigantic sunflowers, you know. I had some that were the size of a big platter when they opened. They were so big. I mean, my little granddaughter had all she could do to carry one of the flowers. It was so big. She saw them. She was only like 4, maybe. She says, I want it, I want it. Maybe 3 or 4, somewhere along in there. So I cut her one and handed it to her. And oh my God, she could hide behind it. It was so big. But these are smaller, but they produce, look how many they produce. And they produce them all up and down the whole stalk. They just haven't done it yet, but they're trying to. They've got buds. You can see they've got buds up and down the stalk already. So they're going to be really pretty when they open. That's the way this Big Daddy is, as I call him. The one that I had to stake up because he was so heavy that the wind blew him over. That thing is towering over my head. That's a good 15 foot, 12, 15 feet. Yep, it's starting to warm up. AC's kicked on. I've got to get that pile of wood moved. I may do that today too. I hate to get next to that thing and it start running like that. But yeah, I showed you what I wanted to show you about cutting your suckers off of your tomato plants and just literally starting a new plant from it. And like I said, you can either this one's got some, but they're real small. Well, that was a sucker right there. And I don't know where I'm going to plant it if I cut it off. I mean, you can leave them. Some people say you get bigger, better tomatoes if you cut them. I don't know. I've done it both ways before. Here's my peppers in that little pot. And what I'm going to do is, I think, pull some out. Some of the biggest ones. Because they need to be transplanted. And look at here, I got Roma tomatoes that are ripening right there. I need to pick, or I need to pick them pretty soon. And I think this is going to be a good time to plant these. Feel it mist and rain. I'm going to put some pepper plants in my green stalk. Hope you can see down here. We'll start at the bottom. I made me a hole. Stick my pepper right in. They don't have to go down too deep, but I want them deeper than what they were because put them up here. I've got bush beans in here trying to make a comeback, but I'm not counting on them. They don't like the heat. But I think the peppers will live in here. Now your dwarf tomatoes, your Roma tomatoes, any of the small tomato plants would do good in here because they don't, they don't get 12 foot tall. But I figured why not utilize my tower. I got bit by something yesterday and I'm itching. I am itching. Let's come over here on this other side. I mean, I've got some stuff growing here already, so. But it's not going to hurt to put me some pepper plants in here. I've had tomato plants growing that came up voluntarily. My kale love this tower. But you've seen I've got kale everywhere around the yard. I don't need any more kale. See, put one right there. Like I said, they don't have to go deep. About 1 inch, maybe. Just get those roots covered up good. See, that bean is trying to come back to life. It's putting out beans. But part of them died. And I'm going to leave them there. I mean, hey, if they'll come back and produce a bean, I'm going to leave them. Well, I can put this other one. Put one right there. Let's go see if we can get 1 or 2 more. I mean, I don't mind leaving one in the pot because it'll grow right there. Like the one above it's doing, see? This one here's already got jalapenos on it. Look at those big jalapenos. But there's too many in here. I can leave a couple. There. I think I got enough now to tower. So let's find the spots that we didn't get before. Yeah, I always have me a poker stick. Something to put a hole. Well, I guess I've run out of holes. No worries, I can always put them somewhere else. I'm going to put a tomato plant right there because I've got the tower to run it on. I think I'm going to put a pepper or 2 right here. I've already got 1 right there, so a couple more is not going to hurt. I'll have plenty of peppers and maybe tomatoes to make cowboy candy and chow chow this year. So there. Oh, and I wanted to show you too, I took my garlic I had pulled my garlic out of the tub, the tote, and I tied a string around it and I hung it right there. Well, I left it there and it rained on it a couple of times. It dried out the garlic pretty good. It dried out the tops. So I cut it down yesterday and I brought it in the house. Well, I'll show you that in a minute. I need to put compost tea to those plants. Let me go do that while I'm over here. Having my compost tea containers right here in the garden makes it easy to just go get and get some out and water stuff. Especially my rutabagas. But yeah, my compost tea buckets. I've got one right there that that's the one I've been dipping out of. So and when I use my fish emulsion or worm castings, I put it right in that container with my compost tea, give it a stir, and I water with it. Water this one. Oh, let's see. Where was another one that I put down here? Oh, I put them in with the tomatoes. The other tomatoes. Right here. I need to take my blower and come out here and blow some of the stuff off this walk, or off of the weed bearing cloth, because it's covered in leaves and dirt, all kind of stuff. Yeah, we'll do this and then I'll tell you what I did with my garlic. Look, Lucky. And little buddy's here too. He was running around with me a minute ago. And this right here, I'm pretty sure it's a pumpkin. I'm not sure yet. Let me take my jalapenos. Yeah, I was going to bring me a jar out here. See if I could catch those grasshoppers. Because I've seen 2 this morning in the garden. And that's probably what's been eating my plants, because I've not seen the tomato worms yet. I know we got the other worms that get on your kale and cabbage. And look at here at my potato slips. Oh, I'm going to have so many sweet potatoes, I'm not going to know what to do with them all. Look at that. I need to break those off and put them in some water like these are right here in this jar. Because you put them in there today, by tomorrow they got roots on them. That's how fast they root. But I don't want to get the types of tomatoes mixed up. These slips right here that are rooting are off of that type of a sweet potato right there. This is a darker red potato. So I don't want to mix them up when I plant them. I want to keep them separated. I want to know which ones is the dark red and which ones are the the lighter color like that right there. That's a big potato right there. But anyway, let me get in here and, if I can, so I can show you. And my kitchen's a mess this morning. I was so tired yesterday. Let me let this back down. And I'm showing you the... Let me get a light on. But this is the handful of garlic that I had hanging up in the little trellis for that tomato plant. All I did was leave them hang there for a couple of days. The roots and the tops got real dry. So I cut the roots off the bottom. I cut the top off, leaving a little nub. And, you know, you can brush the outer section off, just that light, discolored, dirty looking outer layer of the peeling. And it's still got plenty on there. Now that's the way they are when you buy them at the store, right there. Now I only planted like a part of one little tote. So, you know, that's not a whole lot of garlic. But it shows you, hey, you can grow garlic in a tote. Just depends on how much garlic you want, how many totes you want to plant of it. So if you can't plant in the ground, plant you some garlic in a tote. But I wanted to show you that because one lady left me a message she made a comment. And she said, well, do you peel the garlic? And I didn't quite understand her question. And I said, well, no, not unless you're going to eat it. But I think she meant, and I have no makeup on this morning, no eyebrows. But I think she was asking, what do I do with it that I had hanging out in that tomato trellis? I think she was asking what to do with it after you hang it. Well, leave it there for a few days, maybe even a week. Let it dry out a little. And then cut your roots off like I did this. Cut the root off even with the bottom. Cut the top. Just leave a little point at the top. Brush it a little bit on the outside and get some of the outer little thin peeling off. And you've got a garlic bulb just like you would buy at the store. So I hope I've answered her question, because I really misunderstood her question. I didn't quite understand what she was asking me, put it that way. So I figured, well, I pulled these in yesterday, and I said I need to show them this morning to everybody. So you'll see what I did with my garlic. And now you can store them just like you do any other garlic bulb, just like they do in the store when you buy them. Because that's just like garlic bulbs out of the store, y'all. It's a little bulb, but you know, you can buy the little ones or you can buy the gigantic big ones. The garlic that I planted just happened to be the small ones. If I'd have planted the bigger ones, I would have got the bigger bulb. So with that, I am going to make me a cup of coffee because I've not had coffee this morning. Oh, I'm sweating. My hair is all wet. That's one reason I didn't put eyebrows on this morning, because I knew I was going to be out there sweating and they'd be gone anyway. So, but yeah, going to wash my hands, fix me a cup of coffee, get me a bite to eat, and then figure out what else I'm going to do for today. So we'll see you on the next one. I hope I answered your questions. Love y'all. Bye.